Hey guys, Carstio72 here with a post 4-day track extravaganza weekend video. Remember guys, like and subscribe to my channel. I've got quite a bit of subscribers at this point. I'm not getting the watch hours for whatever reason. I got to figure that out, but eventually somebody will send me a check for a couple bucks, I think. So anyhow, the Shaggin' Wagon is home. And it's getting my typical, it's the end of the year, so it's time to go through the whole car and do a bunch of service to it, and I probably won't go back to the track till next year, maybe in March, maybe in May, I'm not sure. But there'll be a maybe almost a 6-month run here without any track use, so it's time to go through the car. In the video I just posted last week when I was heading down to the track, talked through a bunch of stuff and just wanted to, kind of catch up on a bit here. Again, tires, brakes, brake fluid, all that stuff I tried, all worked excellent. The 034 lower control arms worked excellent, and they definitely helped on the tire wear. They're pretty damn even now. So I definitely have, I don't know, probably a couple weekends in these things at this point, which is awesome. I have 13 days on them now. I might get them to 20, I don't know. They probably heat cycle out by that point and get kind of slippery, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But I definitely think the extra camber helped. Yeah, I've got these new Super Pro arms, which I'm just going to hold on to for now. But these are the 034 product, I think, with the rubber bushings is the way to go. Brake fluid, brakes, all that stuff, great. The RPX pads, I continue by EBC. I really like them. They lasted exactly 3 days, full 3 days. And then they were time to change. They weren't at the backing plate, but they're certainly getting close. No issues with them. I just swapped on another pair and went at it. The rears are fine. They got another couple weekends in them, I think. Getting about 6 days of rear to 3 days of front, so double-ish. All right, so what am I doing here? So the car's all tore apart. The big thing that one of the things I've had some issues with, where'd I put it, is... So the DSG, the dual clutch auto transmission sits here. I just serviced it, or I'm in the middle of servicing it. So new filter, so you have to take the battery and the battery tray out and all this stuff. And then I've got my fill tool hooked up. It snakes down to the bottom and is plugged in, or threaded in. So I'll do the fluid change. But one of the issues I have is it burps. So there's a breather. On early Mark 7, this just has a cap on it. On later Mark 7, like I have, it has a kind of an OE style catch can. Now a lot of people think this is like an electrical box. It sits down here and it sits on the side of the battery tray, which would be here. And it's a vent and it captures fluid. The problem is it has a hole on the bottom. So when the fluid comes in, it just comes out. And so it makes a mess. This entire side of the engine bay and down in the subframe area covered in DSG fluid. So I spent some time really getting that all clean. And what I'm going to do, because I have everything out, this is one of those while I'm in there, I just ordered the 034. They have a catch can. So it's basically going to be the same. It's a hose that'll attach to a fitting here, snake up, and then on the firewall back here under this little fitting, there'll be a catch can. And that catch can will keep it from spraying all over the engine bay and making a mess. And the nice thing is it just gravity drains back. So you don't have to ever drain it or mess with it. So ordered that. Hopefully that'll be here in a few days so I can get this out of the garage. The second thing I did, let me cover that up so it doesn't get dirt down it. The other thing I did, and while I'm here, this is the heat exchanger for the DSG. So the DSG, people would say it's a cooler. It's really a heat exchanger. It warms and cools. So when you start your car cold, your coolant comes up to temperature very fast. So now you have like 190 degree coolant going through this, and you have DSG fluid circulating through the other side. And so it gets your DSG fluid warmed up. And then likewise, if your DSG on the track is 250 degree oil temp in the DSG and your coolant is 220, well, now it goes the other way. It cools it. Bartech over in Europe makes one of these that's about double the height. I've got a buddy that has one. It does fit, so when you put this in, the battery tray won't have a clearance issue. I think the angle of this is different, so it goes more that way. So I've got to just trim this hose or something, he said. But I bought it. It should be here hopefully by next week. You just undo this 3 triple squares, take it off. There's 2 O-rings. I've got this charge pipe loose so I can get in here, and you can see there's the back side of that coolant hose. So I'm ready to do it. I just need the part. So I'm going to try it. I don't really see how it can do a whole lot. It's just going to give you more, should give you more surface area for that heat transfer, which should work both ways. Warm, quicker, cool, faster. At least that's what the science says. We'll see. It's not an expensive thing to buy. So that's where the car is. I've changed the oil. Okay, so I'm going to make a separate video this fall or this winter about oil because I know a lot about oil, actually. I'm kind of a nerd about it. And I actually ran oil all year. So I changed the oil in January. It's November. I ran that oil just over 8,000 miles, and I did 8 track days on that oil. Now, there's people who, you know, watching this, listening, that are gonna, their heads are gonna blow off. Oh my God, you've ruined your engine. No, I haven't. The oil I use is top notch, and I did an oil. I pulled a sample about mid-year, and that oil looked totally fine. It was in grade at a 40 grade. There was nothing strange about it, so I ran it. It's the high performance lubricants is what I use here. It's expensive. An oil change for this is over, well over $100 for that oil. It's a full synthetic, meaning it's a Group 4, Group 5 synthetic. It's not what you buy at the store called a synthetic. It's better than that, and it can handle it. So, I mean, the temperatures on the track stay at 260 to 280, just about every event. And that oil looked fine mid-year. I'm sure it's going to look fine. I sent a sample off. If it doesn't look fine, I will make an adjustment and just go back to kind of a 5,000, just a twice a year change or something is about what I would use. Anyway, I will make a separate video about oil. And I actually send the DSG fluid off too, because it's kind of interesting. I've done oil analysis on both since new, so it's kind of fun to track and look at the data and see what it actually says. But I do the DSG once a year. It's easy, and with beating the shit out of it at 12,000 miles, that's just worth doing. It's not hard. So anyway, do a separate video on fluids and analysis, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And the last thing is the PCV. So first off, if you're interested in PCVs on these cars and the smoking issues and some of the challenges and oil consumption issues surrounding Mark 7 or MQB car 4 cylinders with the PCV, you can head over to Data Driven MQB, friend of mine, and he's got a great channel with more info than you probably would ever want about this topic. But the bottom line is, if you follow my channel, I'm running a PCV from the newest gen Golf, the Mark 8. So it's called the Mark 8 PCV retrofit in the lingo online. And let's see, take this out of my turbo. Basically, it's effectively just a normal PCV. It just has an extra bit. It has 2 lines going to the turbo inlet pipe. One, the normal PCV like the Mark 7, and then this Venturi line that comes down. I've done some videos. You can maybe see it right there. There's a line going into the turbo muffler delete that provides some extra airflow by this or through this Venturi so that you pull more of a vacuum. And it works. I don't get any smoking on the track, but goddamn, what I got was some oil consumption. So I'm probably down this year total of 2 quarts of oil over the year. That's a lot. And I can tell you that oil isn't being used just driving on the street, and that oil isn't because my rings are bad or whatever. That oil is going through the PCV system, because when I took all this off, I definitely have oily residue and some free oil in the charge, in the outlet, down at the intercooler, in the hoses. So I was consuming oil. Now, I wasn't blowing smoke because that issue is separate. That issue isn't some oil mist going through your turbo and through the intake system. That's a different issue with surge within the block and oil getting sucked back into the intake valves, I think. But Data Driven, you go check out his stuff. He knows more about it than anybody. Anyway, I think for a street-driven car that goes to a track day once in a while, blows white smoke out the back, this sorts it for a lot of people. Okay? It sorted it for me because I was getting white smoke. I don't think it's a solution for the kind of hard driving, you're pulling 1.5 G kind of stuff once you get pretty, proficient at this and go more than once a year. I think the answer is probably going to be next year to replace this with a plate system. So it replaces the PCV, you take it off and you put a plate which blocks some of the port so that the oil can't go back down through, but it also has a catch can in it. And the catch can will keep the oil from going back through the intake system. But then you add a host of other issues, namely you got to manage the catch can because it gets moisture in it under normal driving oftentimes. And if that moisture freezes because it's cold in your area, well, now your PCV doesn't work and you blow seals out of your engine. So like a lot of things, everything at this is a compromise when you use a street car and you want to go track it. So catch can plate systems work 100%, but they add a level of maintenance that you got to drain the catch can. You can actually, I think, probably just take the catch can out and for the winter time. I'm not sure. I haven't really spent a lot of time on these because I never wanted one. I just was like, I just want the OE stuff because it works. But I think at this point, if I'm ingesting, you know, a quart of oil over 4 days on the track, I think it's, and that can be quite normal, by the way. I mean, if you go to like Porsche or BMW Facebook groups or forums that talk about people that track those cars, which get tracked all the time. They're super common track cars. I mean, they're going to use oil. It's kind of a normal thing. But if I can get a catch can to at least manage the oil not going back through and making a mess, I think I want to do it. There's really 3 brands that are the popular ones. There's APR, there's Racing Line, and their 034's got a pretty slick system that has a drain back to the sump. So I'm going to look at maybe doing the 034 one. So it'd be a plate replacement for the PCV, a catch can, and then a drain that drains anything in the can back through the turbo oil return line to the sump. So you don't have to empty it, which is kind of neat. We'll see next year. Using that much oil is not great. So we'll see. Oh, and there's also another one made by, what the hell is the name of it? It's just, starts with an R. I can't remember. It's a catch can that works with this system. That might be another thing to look at, is just add a can in line here to catch that oil so that you're just, it's working to keep you from smoking, and then you have the can to catch the oil, which keeps it from going back through the intake of the turbo. I can't remember that name. It's escaping me right now. Anyway, it starts with an R, I think. Whatever. That's it. I'll probably do a separate video on that at some point. I owe you a video probably about the fluids and oil and the testing I do. I'll get it all buttoned up. It's November here in Virginia. I'm running summer tires. I'll probably put my all seasons on, which are my quote winter tires for the temperatures we have. I mean, it's like 80 degrees today, so I'm good on the summers right now. Car's fine. I need some new vinyl. My wife needs to cut me some new vinyl for the windows. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to... Oh, I know what I want to finish up with. Point buys. Okay, so I just did an Audi Club event. Track days followed by Audi Club. Track days does the typical arm out the window, point, or over the car, which is the traditional way. And Audi Club does turn signals, which seems to be... And you can have your windows up, which seems to be somewhat controversial. Some people will argue about this stuff that, you know, that's not safe and everything. I can tell you from doing both, I don't really care. I can do either. I'll tell you what I really like about the turn signals. You can hit that turn signal early. So I'm in the Blue Run group in Audi Club, which is like upper intermediate. And so that's passing anywhere with a point. That's not passing in turns, but any straight. And some of those are pretty short. If you're going through a turn and you got a Porsche on your tail and you want them by, you can just hit the signal early, go through the turn, both hands on the wheel. That guy can set up and you can get such faster passes that way versus waiting till the guy gets going straight and gets his arm out the window. It eliminates the T-Rex arm where the guys just do this and you can't see it. It's very obvious if the turn signal's there. I like the turn signals. Like I said, I can do either. It doesn't really matter to me, but I kind of enjoy the turn signals because it does allow, I think, some advantages in those situations. There's people that will say that you're going to accidentally hit them and cause it to be dangerous. That's complete bullshit. If you're in a group where you can only pass on the straights and you're in a turn and you see a turn signal, well, clearly you can't pass them. It's a mistake, or they're signaling early. I've just never seen in the upper run groups anybody screw up the turn signals. I think it's a made up thing because people don't want to change and accept that that's another way. It's just another way to do it. They're neither are right or wrong. They're just different ways to approach getting people by you on the track. So again, I like the turn signals. And even though you can run windows up in Audi Club, I just run them down because I like it. It's nice out, like nice temperatures this year. It's nice to hear. I like the wind noise. But if you want to run them up, and they'll tell you, go, if you think that windows down is dangerous, go look up National Traffic Highway Safety Administration, National Traffic Safety, NTSHA, whatever it is. Go look it up and do your own research. Is it more dangerous to go 70 miles an hour and flip over in a car with the windows down or the windows up? In a car with standard seat belts? I can tell you it's more dangerous with the windows down because your arms are flailing around and you potentially can hurt yourself more having the windows down. So I don't think there's a safety issue with the windows up. I just think it's a different choice. I don't really see how it's a problem. Again, the Audi Club will tell you we've done the research and this is a safer way to run. I don't think they're lying. I just think that traditionally windows down has always been the way to do it. Again, I like my windows down just for the I guess the sensory part of it, but it's not dangerous to run with your windows up on the track. You are going to get extracted from that car if you wreck without any issue because they're just going to smash the goddamn windshield and window and get you out. So anyway, it keeps you in the car. It's kind of nice when it's cold and raining. Again, I've run with Audi Club for like 5 years or four years. I like the Audi Club. I think they're a fun group, and I don't think that there's any safety issues surrounding the way that they've chosen to run their clubs. And I run with clubs that do it the other way, and there's no safety issues with that either. But anyway, just some final comments on the point buys because I got to do both, and it was kind of fun to do both and see the differences. That's it of me rambling. Again, I'll probably put some videos out maybe in a month or two with the oil and stuff when I get some data back, and that's it. Later.